My name is Rich Bradway. I'm the Associate Director of E-Commerce for the Boston Symphony Orchestra. Today I will be talking to you about Henry. Henry is our online performance history database. I'm excited to share with you how and why we built Henry. I'll give you a brief demonstration of how Henry works. I'll show you some of the metrics that we've uncovered just in the few months that we've been running Henry and how successful it's been. I'll also give you a sneak peek in terms of what's in store for Henry, and I'll also show you how you can take Henry home. Starting with Sir George Henschel, through Serge Kusevitsky, to Seiji Ozawa, then on to James Levine, and currently now with our new music director, Andres Nelsons, a myriad of performers have graced the stage of Symphony Hall as well as other venues across the globe, including our summer home at Tanglewood. In its 133-year history, the Boston Symphony Orchestra, along with the Boston Pops, the Boston Symphony Chamber Players, the Tanglewood Festival Chorus, and the Tanglewood Music Center have amassed over 20,000 performances under their belt. As you can imagine, the BSO archives have accumulated a number of treasures over the years. In the last 100 years alone, we've amassed thousands of program books for the concerts we have performed. Like many of you, we've struggled with how we can make best use of this information. Not only information about our history, but our contribution to orchestral music. We wanted to make this information not only available to scholars, but all stakeholders of the BSO. With only 2 archivists and a handful of volunteers, it can be quite difficult to service the numerous requests that we get each week. Over the last 14 years, through the stewardship of the BSO trustees and overseers, as well as the efforts of a strong institutional and corporate giving staff, the BSO has been able to secure funds that have allowed us to develop a number of media and technology initiatives, mostly through bso.org, our corporate website. Fortunately for us, we were able to convince the National Endowment for the Humanities, as well as the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation, about the importance of making our archives more readily accessible on the web. With their generous support, we were able to develop Henry, our online performance history database, named after our founder, Henry Lee Higginson. We've been live with Henry now since August 2014, and in that short time alone, we've seen some incredible usage of this system. And here's the best part for all of you watching. One of the provisions of the Sloan Foundation support was that we take a little extra time to develop this application in such a way so that we could abstract the source code from this application and reuse it and make it available to other organizations who want to make their archival databases available online as well. It first started when we received a grant from the National Endowment for Humanities to digitize over 8,000 program books and make them available on the Internet Archive as well as on our Content DM service. Content DM is a web-based digital asset management system that caters to archivists and librarians. And for them, it's a great application. But for the everyday user, it can be a bear to use. One of the challenges of this application was that although this information is up there in these digitized formats, it was really hard to search through this information. So we wanted to find a way to take our vast performance history and create an online database and then marry that information to these great digital assets in Content DM. So instead of using Content DM as the native search to look up these digitized program books, we decided to use OPAS, which is our enterprise application which tracks everything and anything about our performances. Now, OPAS tracks everything. Not only does it track what we perform, but it also tracks where we perform, when we perform, and who performs. And it tracks a lot of detail that we don't want to make readily available to the public. So when we developed Henry, we had to pull the data out of OPAS that we did want to make publicly available and marry that up to the information about the digitized program books that were stored in Content DM and expose all of that on bso.org, the BSO's website. To get to Henry, just go to archives.bso.org. When you're searching on Henry, we are providing 3 basic searches for performance history, namely performances, artist search, and repertoire search. For today's purposes only, I will just focus on the performance search, but just know that artist search and repertoire search are equally easy to use. So in this particular search example I'm going to search up Beethoven. So when I start typing in Beethoven, you'll see that it will find the closest match within the system, and in this case we have Ludwig van Beethoven. I'm also going to just simply search on the number 9 for the work, and then I'm going to provide a date range for concerts. So in this particular example, I'm going to go back in time to, let's say, 1909, January 1st, 1909, and we will search through January 1st, I don't know, let's say 1914. So we'll do that. And when you search on it, you'll see that it's a fairly quick search. It just takes a moment. And you'll see that in the particular case between January 1st, 1909 and January 1st, 1914, there were 44 results pertinent to Beethoven and the number 9 in the work. As you scroll down, you will see everything's ordered in chronological order. It shows us the work that was performed that matches the search criteria. We'll also see if there were any soloists, conductor, obviously the orchestra. In most cases, this is the BSO search engine, so it will bring up Boston Symphony Orchestra as the orchestra. It will also illustrate the or demonstrate or display the venue where we performed. You can go into further detail by clicking on a magnifying glass. What this allows you to do is to see what else was performed during the concert. So in addition to, say, this concert that took place on April 30th, you'll see that in addition to the Symphony No. 9 by Beethoven, we also performed Mozart's Symphony No. 35. Now, if we were to go back to the search results, you'll see that there are a number of searches that return things such as Symphony No. 7, Opus 92. One thing that we can do is we can actually click on the filter results option, and we can go in and say, for example, in the work category, we can narrow it down just to simply look at Symphony No. 9. So what I'll do is I'll look at Symphony No. 9, and we'll close this up, and now you'll see that Symphony No. 9 is the only thing that is showing. You'll see that it was very quick to update. It's a great little tool that we've offered to just simply filter things to create further granularity in your searches. Other things that you can do is you can share your search. So if, for example, you wanted to share this search with someone, you can click on this and you can send an email that will send the link to this search in an email to somebody. And when they click on that link will bring them right to Henry and open up this interface and show you this search result. Another thing you can do is you can also export your results to Excel. As I mentioned, one of the big things about this project was that we also digitized a number of program books. So when a performance search returns a link where we have access to a program book, you can actually click on a PDF, a highlighted red PDF image, and that will take you to the digitized program book. And so what I'm going to just simply show you is an access where I click on that link and it shows you the program book. And in this particular case, we're looking at season 29 from 1909 to 1910. And you can iterate through all the pages of the program book. It takes a few seconds for each page to update, and it just takes a few more seconds to just sort of to look at what you're looking at in something that's a little bit easier to watch and read. The great thing about this service is that if you wanted to, you can download the program book, or you can even print it. So this is an amazing tool that we've made available that has just been great, and a lot of people have responded to. Other things that you can do is that during your session, We track every single thing that you're doing, so you can come in here and you can see the different searches that were made. Now, prior to actually demoing this, I actually just did a search just to make sure this is what I wanted to show you. So you can see that I did a couple searches, and one was both basically for essentially the same thing. It's a great little tool, and all you have to do when you're looking at your search histories, you just click on the link and it will populate or pre-populate the search that you made. And that's about it. In order for Henry to be successful, it needed to be really easy to use. It needed to be fast. We didn't want to have these searches take forever to commit and find results. We wanted the information to be useful, something that could be repurposed in a number of ways. And lastly, we wanted it to be timely. We didn't want this database to be so unwieldy to update that it wouldn't be something of use on an ongoing basis. Henry's been live now for 3 months, since August 2014, and in that time, we're averaging approximately 445 users a week, 25% of which are BSO staff and stakeholders. Another crazy thing is the fact that people are spending over 18 minutes a session simply browsing Henry. And then the best thing of it all is that 85% of our weekly requests to our BSO archives are now being serviced by Henry. One incredible thing about Henry is that we measure everything of its usage, not only how many people are using it, how long they're on it, who's actually using it, and what's being used, but we can also track to see what kind of data is being accessed in Henry. And here's some metrics that we found interesting. Here are the top 10 composers that are getting pulled up on Henry. And here are the top 10 conductor searches. So going back to what I was saying in the fact that we're taking a little extra time to abstract the code so that other organizations can use it, one of the benefits for us is that it makes it really easy for us to update Henry. And in 2015, we have some amazing plans in store. This summer is the 50th anniversary of the Tanglewood Music Center. And we are going to be digitizing a number of recordings by the Tanglewood Music Center and storing them into Content DM and making them available through Henry so that people can search not only the performances, but they can also gain access to these great recordings. As you use Henry right now, you'll see that it's a very simple application. You can go on and you can search and you can find things, but it doesn't remember what you've been doing across multiple sessions. So this summer, one of the plans that we have in store is to integrate Henry with Tessitura so that we can provide authentication. By providing authentication, now we can track what each user is doing across multiple sessions. And so when you log into Henry, which would be by virtue of logging into the BSO website, you'll be able to gain access to all of your search history and making that available to you at any time that you need. As I was mentioning, one of the provisions of this project by the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation was that we developed this project in such a way so that we could make the code base, the source code, readily available to other organizations free of charge, and to develop it in a framework that would require the least amount of investment upfront in order to build their own applications. We've made all of this available now on GitHub, which is an open source repository for these type of projects. I hope you'll take the time to go and look at it and download the source code and try out Henry for yourself. For more information, please don't hesitate to reach out and contact me if you have any questions. Here's my contact information.